And even if you are positive for the genetic marker and you have other issues going on, there's specific supplements and foods that you can focus on and just change your lifestyle, change your diet a little bit. You don't have to stop wearing makeup. You might scare everybody at the office. But
did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning in again to Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. I'm glad that Dr. John DeWitt stayed over for another segment talking about preventing Alzheimer's and actually reversing cognitive decline symptoms. Dr. DeWitt, thanks for joining me again.
Happy to be here.
As we said in closing of our last segment, what I want to do here, I want to put a little shock factor in, because people just aren't aware what they're doing to their body and their brain with some of their lifestyle choices. Talk to me about that.
Well, the number one thing is, we talked a little bit about it before, you got to really watch your sugar intake. That's one of the biggest things. And French fries. I know everybody loves French fries, but when you have those trans fatty acids, that is so toxic to the brain. So you need to really be aware of that. And I have about 20 different lifestyle things that, if you've experienced these in your life, you actually are at a higher risk of having Alzheimer's. So it's really important that you take this seriously and get checked and make sure that you're aware of everything. And one of the first ones, which really struck home with me, was if you've suffered any head trauma. And I mean, since junior high, I played 24 years of football, smashing my head. So that's a little bit of head trauma. So that I'm already at risk right there. If you've had general anesthesia, if you've ever had any surgery when you were knocked out, that's going to affect your cognitive function. If you have mercury fillings, obviously, because that would lead to the type 3 Alzheimer's that we talked about before, the toxic one. And that is something that you can easily, we have a place called American Biodental down in Tijuana that is really, really good at taking out the amalgams and doing an IV of vitamin C, good antioxidants, things like that.
We'll link to all that too.
Okay. High mercury fish. You want to avoid high mercury fish. If you eat swordfish, shark, things like that a lot, that's a big problem too, because you're going to be getting the higher levels of mercury. You want to focus on what they call the smash fish, which are sardines, mackerel, anchovies, smelt, and herring.
All the really good tasting ones.
all the tiny little ones. Yeah, the little ones, because they don't build up the mercury as much. Certain medications that we talked about last time you want to avoid, and if you're taking, you need to figure out an alternative. Obviously, some of these meds you can't just stop taking, cold turkey. You need to consult with your physician to make sure that you can gradually, wean yourself off. Valium is one of them, the benzodiazepine, antidepressants, blood pressure pills. We talked about that. The statin drugs, obviously, the proton pump inhibitors, and even antihistamines are bad. So, and the proton pump inhibitors, that kind of goes back to the gut, leaky gut issue. And they actually have tests now where you can see if you have a leaky gut or not. And that is important because about 80% of your serotonin comes from the gut and can cause all kinds of emotional issues. Obviously, if you've used street drugs, that's a problem, and that's going to affect your brain function. So okay.
I'm trying to quit.
If you drink alcohol, you need to be aware of how much you're drinking. It's okay to drink wine, things like that, but only a couple times a week. Smoking cigarettes, the nicotine and all the other toxins and tar and things like that, that's bad for brain function. You have to make sure you practice good oral hygiene as well, because if you have gingivitis or like the herpes virus, things like that, that can get up into the brain and cause issues. So make sure you're brushing and flossing. That's a little pitch for the dental world. If you have any, this was really interesting, especially in California. If you have any sort of surgical implants, it can increase your risk of Alzheimer's, because that goes to the general anesthesia as well. But we're talking hip implants, dental implants, even breast implants can cause issues and make you at risk. It's insane. If you have liver, kidney, heart, or lung disease, that can increase your risk, I think that covers pretty much everybody. If you snore, that goes to the sleep apnea that we talked about. And there's a lot of people that snore, and that's going to affect the oxygen to the brain and can lead to cognitive dysfunction. If you eat foods that are high in trans fats or simple carbs, like we talked about, the French fries, the sugar, the ice cream, dairy is just a no-no. You don't want dairy. They have really good ice cream actually made from coconut milk now that's really, really good. So I would focus on that. If you have chronic sinus problems, sinus infections, once again, that's close to the brain, and that's inflammation of the sinuses, and that can affect cognitive dysfunction later in life. Gastrointestinal problems, if you have a bloating or diarrhea, either one for a chronic amount of time, it's an ongoing thing, that is an issue. If you have mold in your house, car, or workplace, that would lead to type 3 Alzheimer's with the toxins. If you eat processed or non-organic foods, that's an issue, which I know that's a big deal for people because organic is always a little more expensive. But I mean, it's your health when you focus on it and think
And it's
about
not
it.
that much more expensive anymore.
Yeah, and if you're in the rural country, I mean, I'm from Arkansas originally, so you would just grow your own. It's like we had peach trees and pecans and strawberries. It was really good. He said, basically, I liked it. He said, if there is food that you're eating that is packaged and has a label that tells you what's in it, don't eat it. Because that just means it's processed. I mean, a banana is a banana. It doesn't have a little label on it that says banana. I mean, you need to be aware of that. If you have had tick bites, that can lead to Lyme disease, and that particular bacteria can cause type 2 Alzheimer's as well. This is another one that's unfortunate that you're not going to believe. If you use makeup, hairspray, or antiperspirant. Yeah.
I think I'm screwed.
I know. I'm pretty much I use makeup all the time, and it's like, geez. But it's interesting because he talks about, it used to be don't use the aluminum and deodorant because that's going to cause Alzheimer's. Well, the latest research, once again, is showing that there's really not that much of a causal relationship to that. So that's not what they thought it was either. They have always kept thinking, oh, that's the one thing that causes it. And like we've talked about, it's like 40, 45 different things now.
An environmental disease. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you don't sweat much, because sweating is something that's really important to detox the system. So for people that have hormonal issues that aren't sweating a whole lot, that can be an issue. And if you're not drinking enough water. So if you don't drink half your body weight in ounces of water every day, and you don't want to drink tap water because there's fluoride and all kinds of bad stuff in there, but if you can drink good alkaline water is even better. Half your body weight. So for me, I'm about 240 pounds. So that would be 120 ounces of water I have to drink every day. And that helps to alkalize the body, but it also makes you pee a lot more. And that's another way to detox the system.
Yeah. Well, and for the, and I'm listening to this, and I mean, I consider myself someone who is very aware of a lot of this stuff. I eat healthy. I think I eat healthy. There's a lot of stuff there that's hard to avoid. So what I don't want to leave our audience with is that this, again, it's hopeless. Oh my God, there's no way to avoid it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, obviously people wear makeup and and that's just saying if you do that, you just need to go and make sure you get did the blood work done to make sure you're okay. And even if you are positive for the genetic marker and you have other issues going on, there's specific supplements and foods that you can focus on and just change your lifestyle, change your diet a little bit. You don't have to stop wearing makeup. You might scare everybody at the office, but you need to make sure that you're doing the nutritional things, the supplementation that you need to do to
combat it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you're doing. You're working with your body's ability to heal itself, because we're all, we didn't design this, and we're a pretty awesome design, and the ability for us to heal ourselves is pretty amazing, and we just have to work with it instead of against it by always putting in bad stuff.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you've given us a lot to think about. Obviously, we're going to link to the book, which explains this in a lot more detail. And I think the takeaway, would you say, for this segment is what, Dr. DeWitt?
Even if you have all of these different risk factors for Alzheimer's, there is hope, because there is a new functional approach that is going to help you change your lifestyle, change your diet, increase your supplements, get the nutrients that you need, the trophic factors they call it, to make sure that you're building up synapses and neuronal connections in the brain instead of breaking them down.
Well, again, a lot to think about, but there's empowerment here that we can take charge and create a life and live life to the fullest after 50. So see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found today's segment helpful. For more information on this very important topic, please visit our website, secondact.tv. I've also provided links to all of Dr. DeWitt's information below. And if you haven't done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Button's right over here. Thank you.